What's up, guys? Welcome back to Natalie's Reptile Room. Today, this is your host, Natalie. Toad, Kevin, Special Guest,
Casper, the friendly ball python. Yep.
He is one of the wonderful snakes.
And remember what we were going to say? If it looks like Natalie's got dirt on her face, don't worry. It's Oreos.
Bud?
So what's up, guys? Today, Natalie and I are getting into the pros and cons of one of the most popular pet reptiles in the world.
Yep.
Ball pythons.
I love Casper so much.
Casper has been an awesome snake, hasn't he?
Yep, he was one. He was bought, I think,
6 months ago now.
Yeah, 6 months ago.
And he is doing wonderful.
Yep, never bit us.
Nope. If you guys are actually looking for a care video of the ball python, we already did that a couple months back.
Oh yeah.
Which they can watch right there.
And guess what? They can watch this video right here.
Right here. But today in specific, we are going to go over all of the reasons why you should or shouldn't get a ball python.
We started with the what?
Pros. You ready to get into it?
Yep.
Let's do it. Starting with pro number one. Most ball pythons, are super docile.
Look, he's wrapped around my arm.
He is. But most are just the gentlest, friendliest little snakes.
Yep, and like I said, like Daddy said, most of them are docile, and he is just one of those kinds.
Exactly, and it's very important to keep in mind that each individual snake can have a totally different temperament.
Yeah.
That's why we say most are very docile.
Yeah. And some can be very nippy and bitey, and some can be nice and cuddly to other people.
But they are way more likely to curl up into a ball and defend themselves by protecting their head, where they get the name ball python. They are way more likely to do that than they are going to lash out and bite you.
Caught up like a donut.
Oh yeah, when he curls up in a little donut.
Yeah, because
he does.
Yeah, he's
the cutest. Pro number two, and this helps out with their docile nature and their health.
We're trying to do the stair watch.
The stair watch?
Yeah.
But the overwhelming majority are captive bred. To be honest with you, I've never even seen somebody selling wild-caught ball pythons anymore.
Yeah.
All of them are captive bred pretty much now. Pro number three, there are many different morphs of ball pythons. A color and pattern for everyone.
Yeah.
I would say ball pythons have more morphs to them than any other snake. And it seems like a new morph of ball pythons is coming out like every other month.
Yep. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, every single day. They come out like immediately. You see them on Market, I think.
Morph Market.
Morph Market. They are everywhere out there.
Pro number four, and this has to do with the morphs as well, but there is a very wide range of prices on ball pythons.
Yep.
Anywhere from less than $100 to several $1,000s. Whatever your budget, there's a ball python out there for pretty much everyone. Whether it's the normals or blue eye leucistic, whatever morph. Pro number five. Not only can the snake be reasonably priced, but the initial setup for a ball python is pretty reasonable too. They're not a reticulated python or Burmese python size snake. So between the enclosure, the heating and lighting, the accessories, water dish,
front opening enclosure.
The front opening enclosure, it's all pretty reasonably priced.
Yeah, it's not like $1,000.
Right, exactly. Pro number six. On the topic of size, ball pythons are a perfect size snake for beginners and experienced keepers. typically getting between only 4 and 5 feet. 4 and 5 feet. Like we said, they're definitely not a Burmese python or a reticulated python.
Yeah.
They're much smaller.
Are ball pythons.
Right, exactly.
And guys, if you see a blue-eyed leucistic, leucistic, that would be one of these guys.
All right, you ready for the cons? Oreo face. Con number 1. Although not a retic or a Burmese python, they still need a fairly large enclosure. I would say larger than what most people use. Now, I will say that a lot of people will tell you that starting a ball python off in something smaller and gradually building them up to a larger enclosure, and I do agree with that. We first got Casper here, started off in a smaller enclosure, and he's done wonderful.
Yep.
He eats every meal, his humidity and everything is always on point. We do agree with starting them off in something smaller, but absolutely you need to move them into something larger as they become adults.
Yep.
As they get bigger and as they become adults, they need to be put in something that they can actually stretch out and be active in.
Yep.
So you need a large enclosure for them to do all that.
Yep.
A lot of people will tell you that an adult ball python does perfectly fine in racks or small tubs. And I mean, that's simply just not true.
Yeah.
You can't cramp them in something really small.
Yeah.
Con number 2, humidity. Ball pythons do need a pretty high humidity level. And for most people, the reason that they would tell you that a ball python isn't a beginner snake is because of that humidity.
Yeah.
Getting that right can be kind of tricky.
Yep.
As Natalie and I always mention when dealing with humidity, whether it's for snakes or lizards, it makes it that much more important to keep the enclosure clean. Daily and weekly cleanings, because that bacteria buildup in the humidity can cause a whole heck of a lot of health concerns.
Oh, that's no good.
No good. Con number 3, and we'll get a little more into this in the next con, but ball pythons are incredibly sensitive to their environment, and they really rely on you to have your husbandries down pat.
Yeah.
This means making sure that you get the temperatures correct, the humidity level correct, the setup and all the other husbandries that come along with it correct. It makes it that much important to know your stuff.
Yeah.
And on to our final con number 4. A lot of people will tell you that ball pythons are very picky eaters. However, I don't think that that's entirely true. A lot of people will tell you that ball pythons, for no reason whatsoever, will go on a feeding strike.
Yeah, that could be very dangerous if you put your hand like that.
Well, them
near
not
their
eating
face.
can be life-threatening. They will say it's natural, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's not natural for them to go off feeding. As we had mentioned, ball pythons are incredibly sensitive to their environment and your husbandries. And feeding strikes usually comes down to errors in their husbandries. It's a lot easier for a person to just say, oh, well, they're a picky eater, rather than admit that they're doing something wrong. Now, I'm not saying there aren't your one-offs, but as long as your husbandries are on point, you should have no issues whatsoever getting them to eat. Alright guys, and that does it for the pros and cons of a pet ball python.
Yep, and he's wrapped around my arm. I need you to get him off.
Easily one of the best pet reptiles out there. We hope that this video helps you to make an informed decision of whether you should get a ball python or not. But at the very least, we hope it makes you want to research them more before getting one.
Yeah.
Right? Because you gotta know your stuff.
Yeah.
Alright guys, and that does it for today's video. If you found this informative, make sure to give us a huge thumbs up.
And see you on...
Consider
subscribing and see you
Consider subscribing for more reptile content.
on
We'll see ya
on
Wednesday. Bye guys.
Wednesday.